Hi, and welcome to the OT is In, the podcast where we merge the worlds of education and occupational therapy to empower families like yours. I'm Sarah Collins, your host, an occupational therapist and a homeschooling parent. I've experienced occupational therapy by supporting families for over 15 years, but also through seeking out support of my own children, so I'm right here in the trenches with you. Though there is not one way to educate your child, there is a lot to consider when individualizing an education. And the goal of this podcast is to explain some of the why behind what an occupational therapist is thinking so you can apply it to your own family. Especially with my three favorite topics: executive functioning, handwriting, and sensory processing. Each episode will be packed with practical tips, expert interviews, and real-life stories aimed at helping you to create a supportive learning environment for your child. So, grab your headphones and get ready to dive in of the collision of education and occupational therapy. I'm Sarah Collins from Homeschool OT, and I'm thrilled to have you with me on this journey of discovery. Hey, and welcome back to the OT is In. In today's episode, I, your host, Sarah Collins, am joined by Ivan Hardcastle, an experienced occupational therapist and parent coach from Idaho with nearly 2 decades of expertise. Together, we tackle the often challenging but deeply rewarding world of parenting teenagers. Our goal is to highlight the powerful impact that empowered, informed parents can have on your children's development, especially in the teen years. The myth that the teenage years are doomed to chaos and disconnection is not true. Instead, we need to reframe our teens' push for independence as a natural, beautiful part of development. This episode is full of practical wisdom on supporting teens' changing brains and bodies, managing explosive emotions, and fostering respectful, connected family relationships. So whether you're a parent of a teen, an OT working with families, or just looking for fresh perspectives on navigating adolescence, this conversation is packed with encouragement, insight, and real-life examples. Tune in to discover how you can become your teen's greatest support as they grow into individual, independent, resilient adults. Hey, and welcome back to the OT is In. My name is Sarah Collins, and today I have with me Ivan Hardcastle, who is a parent coach, but also an occupational therapist. So, Ivan, I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit more, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Fantastic. I am so excited to be here. I have been an occupational therapist in Idaho for 18 years now. And this last year, I started branching out into parent coaching. It's been amazing to me. It's been fantastic. I've been so excited to do it. Over my years of working as a in pediatrics and working with sensory processing and working with emotions and behaviors and a wide variety of things. But what I consistently found is that the children that I worked with who made the greatest gains were the ones who the parents were right there with me. And I spent actually maybe more of my time educating and helping the parents to understand so that they could take it and it transforms the home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I've come from that position of, you know what? Therapy, you can go to a therapist 1 time, 2 times, 3 times a week, and you're working on things, but the real change happens inside the home. And for me, that's powerful in the families that I've helped. That's been consistent feedback. And so it's been a natural transition to me. It's been an exciting transition for me to be able to reach out and dive into parent coaching and seeing fantastic results from that coming back from the families that I've been able to work with so far.
I could not love this more. We talk all the time here at the OT is In, especially we are primarily homeschool families that are listening. So families that are together all day, every day, right? And so we talk a lot about how it's important to build our teams, right? So the other people who are coming alongside, the therapists, the co-op teachers, your neighbors, everybody who can come alongside, but that we as the parent, we're the experts. So what you're saying here, to be able to pour into parents, which then can make the biggest difference in the home. I love that.
Yeah.
So we want to dive in a little today on the teenager, though, right? So let's get started with that, because When we are thinking parents of teens, I feel like there's this stigma that your kid's gonna hate you and you're gonna go through this whole time and it's gonna be awful. And to be honest, that is not, this has been my favorite time of parenting is with my teens. But that doesn't mean that it's super easy. So let's talk a little bit about like how we as parents can work with our kids and their developing brains, especially as teenagers.
Yeah, you say that, and I have to agree. I absolutely love working with teenagers.
Yeah.
It's this period of time where they're growing up. They have so much still to learn, but they have this drive just to move
Mhm.
forward. And of course, that comes out in different ways. And sometimes it's labeled as angsty, sometimes it's labeled as rebellious. But really, you take a look at you have this child, and this child starts to grow. And oftentimes, I even hear with the 3 years olds, and the parents are just like, "Yeah,
Oh,
they're
the
teenagers,
three-nagers.
teenagers, yeah." But it's this constant diverging from the
Mhm.
parents. I need to learn how to have power over my own life. I need to know how to become independent. And in these teenage years, this has been going on for eons of this is a drive to help these people become more independent and become successful in their life. And so they need to have different opinions than their parents. They need to have a
Yeah.
different drive. They need to have differences of skill sets. And that sometimes that annoyance with, "No, I'm tired of my mom telling me exactly what to do. I'm tired of my dad telling me exactly what to do," which works when you are a young kid and you honestly don't know any better because you haven't been
Right.
experienced any life. But as a teenager, there's so many things going on. I take a look at multiple factors. What's going on in the brain? Oh my goodness, the brain is developing so much during the teenage years. Oh my goodness, the body is changing so much. And I look at my teenage son, I've got 5 kids, and they are all teenagers or above now. And my teenage son, he's working on 16 years old, and he's a runner, and his arms are getting lanky, his legs are getting lanky, everything's stretching out, he's getting thin, and you can just see him. This is the big puppy syndrome. He hasn't grown into his body yet. And I just imagine, wow, how many times does he have to reformat
Mhm.
in his brain of what is my body like, and how do I move now, and how do I do this? Because there's so much fast growth going on. And then hormones on top of that. You have chemical changes in the body, and the brain's trying to figure out what to do with all these chemicals and emotions and all these fantastic changes that just create a whole new set of patterns and a whole variety of things that these teenagers are working with. And it's wonderful.
Yeah, I love the way that you're talking about how, yes, they're learning and they're trying to figure out who they are and with their development, but how it's a beautiful thing. Because I think so many times that we are, I don't want to say shaming, but it's almost that we point out like the negativity of trying to gain independence. And we point out often the negativity of these emotional, like big emotional reactions. But in reality, if we're thinking of it from a standpoint of this is the brain developing and we get to come alongside of them, then it is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. For the parents listening to this, one of the things that I always caution my parents as you learn something new and as you are exposed to a new perspective, say that there's a parent, maybe you're a parent listening and you're going, "Oh my goodness, I need to change how I interact with my teen, and I need to maybe have some different patience, and I need to look at them differently." It's easy to get frustrated with yourself. And it's easy to be hard on yourself and say, "Oh no, I'm doing things wrong. I've screwed up. I've whatever." But keep in mind that you as a parent, us as parents, we have been trained by the fact of having kids to be telling them what to do because
Right.
we have zero experience. And so we have created habits ourselves. We've gotten into routines of how we interact with our children. And we forget that it's not a straight line moving up, it's this curve.
Yes.
And here we are in this growth phase, which means that, okay, fantastic. They are changing, and this is a wonderful opportunity for me to change as well. I love to tell my kids, you guys are in a really special spot because you get to watch your mom and I grow up. And
Yes.
yeah, the first time I said that to them, there was this big, long, awkward pause. The adults, we're all grown up. And that's really not the case at all. We continue to grow all the way through our lifespan.
Yes. And to
No,
be
yeah,
lifelong learners, like they're watching us learn how to be a parent of a teenager. They're watching us learn how to be a parent of the 20-year-old or whatever,
yeah,
but also watching us learn like how do you interact in 2025 and past,
yes.
because this is all new to everybody around. So yeah, they literally are watching us grow up in this exact same
Yeah.
thing. It's so cute.
Here I was, and this will age me a little bit. I was a teenager in the 90s.
Same. Yep.
Fantastic. That was great. It's completely different now.
Yes.
There's so many
Mhm.
more things going on.
Yeah, it's
So,
funny. I
yes,
was
I have
talking to my
experience.
daughter once, and I was saying, I remember when my mom would be like, I did that too. I was a teenager once. And even at that point, like from the 90s to, I guess my mom was a teenager in the 70s or whatever. And I was like, is it that different? Mom, you did not do this. But I can for sure say to my daughter now, I have no idea what, and to my son, what you guys are
Yeah,
going through. It is a completely different world here than when we were teenagers in the 90s.
I would agree. I would agree. Yeah. And I've thought those same things too. And it's okay. There's definitely more in common with between myself and my parents,
Yeah.
teenagers, versus myself and my own children being teenagers. It's just the world has changed so quickly, which also then goes back to okay, what do we do with these teens? Because now we have all this extra things from the world that is putting pressure on our neurological systems that we truly, as a people, have not been able to adapt to well, which then adds to the struggles of stress and anxiety and everything that our wonderful teenagers are struggling with, which turns into many times it can increase this feeling of, oh, they're rebelling or they have these outlandish behaviors or these different thoughts and these different struggles that we then react to. And then it becomes explosive in the home rather than harmonious in the home and
Right.
creates challenges. Now, change is hard, and having a variety of different things going on is hard. If we think about our brains like a battery, and we recharge that battery every night when we sleep, but we also can recharge it through different activities that we do to some extent. And to have all this constant change, not only is your body growing, not only is the chemicals, the hormones, the brain is developing, but then the pressures from society and school and social media and
Right.
friends, and it all comes in. And so then we need to take a step back and think, okay, this world is so complex for my teen, and they are trying to be successful in the best way that they can. And I truly believe that's one of my tenets that I tell parents all the time is that children are trying to be successful.
Yeah.
And but it's also based on what resources they have. Parents are trying to be successful. It is based on what resources we have. And the more that we can learn to identify those resources and then use them, the more successful we can be as parents, the more successful our teens can be, and the more that we can bridge that gap and really find ways to move forward and be successful together and help them with this transition and growth into adulthood, successful adulthood.
This episode of the OT is In is sponsored by CTC Math and the new Executive Functioning for Teens course from Homeschool OT. We have used CTC Math in our homeschool for 4 years now, and it continues to be a favorite. My kids actually enjoy the lessons, especially when they hear, "That's all for the lesson. Good luck on your questions." And they repeat it in their best Australian accents, which clearly I did not try right there, but they love it. What I love most is the flexibility. When my son hit a wall with fractions, we simply went back a grade to strengthen the basics and then moved forward when he was ready. CTC Math lets you move at your child's pace, not a set curriculum's timeline. You can try it out at ctcmath.com. And speaking of personalized learning, if your teen struggles with starting tasks, managing time, or finishing what they start, we've got something for that too. Our brand new Executive Functioning for Teens course is designed to help the student understand the 11 brain-based skills that impact everything that they do, from getting ready in the morning to turning in that writing assignment. Each week includes short video lessons, a companion guide, workbook practice, and even a novel study to help them recognize these skills in action and in themselves. Plus, I built in plenty of suggestions to modify the course based on your teen's needs and goals. You can check this out now at homeschoolot.com. Now, back to the show. So, welcome back. Ivan, you've been talking a lot about the development as a whole, our development of the brains and the body and everything all together, and how that can end up with some explosive situations, but that we need to be able to match our abilities and also the resources that we're providing for our kids. So, can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, how can we work and come alongside with our kids and really support them?
That is fantastic. That's a great question. That's right where I think that we need to go. Number one, I think that the first step really is taking a moment to pause and taking a moment to consider ourselves, because we have more experience than our teens do. And the way that we interact is really going to invite the ability to develop and interact from them. If we come at them very demanding, you need to do it this way, I'm going to make you do this, I've told you what to do your whole life and it's going to continue that way, we are going to get resistance by nature of them needing to be more independent. On the other hand, if we just say, hey, I'm totally hands off, this is out of my league, they are going to learn however they can, which is often going to end up in some very harmful ways.
Learn the very hard way.
Yeah. So learning how to take that middle ground, but reflecting, okay, where are my emotions? Where is my regulatory self? Am I feeling overwhelmed? And I can guarantee you that if you feel overwhelmed as a parent,
Yeah,
your teenager is going to feel that, and they are going to be overwhelmed themselves, or they are going to draw away from you. Because, and I remember this as a teen myself back in the 90s, of course, but I've also heard this from teens again and again. I'm talking to a teen, I'm talking to their parent, and the teenager says, Mom, I don't want to spend time with you because you are so overwhelmed. I don't want to add to your being overwhelmed. And the mom's, no, I want this connection. And this is that point where we really need to take a step back and say, how do I learn how to regulate myself? What resources can I get myself? Do I need to learn mindfulness? Do I need to learn how to take breaks, how to simplify my life, how to take a deep breath and just slow down and be more present? And then,
I don't want to interrupt you, because I think that is so true, that we as parents are often afraid to model what we want, especially if it's rest or if it is just taking that mindfulness moment or whatever, because we have been told for so long, like we have to stay busy and we have to protect everybody and we have to do. And so now this taking a step back and advocating for ourselves is actually a really good thing to be modeling, but it's almost like we're afraid to do it.
Our society has this norm that's pervasive that says, to be a good person, to be a good citizen, to be a good family member, you need to be busy. And that is not right. I have another friend.
I want to shout this from the mountains.
Yeah, this is not right.
Yes.
There's another coach that I'm friends with, and we were talking, and she says, I use the word full. When people say, hey, how you doing? Are you busy? And she purposely will say, no, I am not busy. I am full. My life is full. And what that means is that it's meaningful. I can take time for myself to calm and be regulated, and have space to meditate and take time to think and consider, and that fills my life.
Yes.
I don't need to be busy. Busy is not a fantastic thing to be just running.
Yeah. Oh, so I have this kind of vision in my mind right now of where you were saying, like, we've got on one hand the directive or the authoritarian, and the other side is like the hands off, and then right smack in the middle is this like modeling and invitation. And it's just such a great vision, because that's where we want to be, is right smack in the middle.
Yeah, that's exactly where. And we can see that model be successful in so many different ways, in so many different places. It really allows our teens to be able to gain that control in their lives. I think about remodeling a home or a building. You're driving along, you'll see some buildings that's being remodeled, and so they have scaffolding around it, and they're tearing down pieces here, but then they're building in it. It's bigger, it's greater, it's more amazing than it was before, and that's what our teens are doing. And we can provide that scaffolding while they have that ability and help guide their growth. But at the end, we want them to be able to grow on their own from the inside out, because that is what is going to allow them to be successful and to be independent and to be the people that we want them to be.
Yeah.
And without us self-sabotaging through trying to control every little, no, you're going to be this way. And that doesn't work.
Oh, no, it doesn't, because they're not going to be little mini me's.
Yeah. No matter how much we think that,
Yeah.
even subconsciously, we tend to
Mhm.
think, oh, they'll be just like me.
So, how practically, right? So, we've got this model, we've got this vision in our heads in these explosive moments or in these really hard times with our kids. It's oftentimes a lot easier to go onto one side or the other, the hands off or
Yeah.
the all
Uh-huh.
in. So,
Yeah.
what are some practical ways that we can really try to implement this for ourselves?
I've got a couple things in mind, and I want to share examples from my own family that I've used with my own kids and that I've had other families do,
Mhm.
and it's been successful. My wife and I, part of our home life is doing chores, of course. Everybody in the house helps with the upkeep of the house. And so we use chore charts. There's
Mhm.
so many different ways to do this, but we use chore charts. And sometimes the dishes need to be done. Sometimes a room needs to be clean. And the natural inclination is, hey, Johnny, go do the dishes right now. And taking a step away from that, and this creates an invite. This creates control in their lives. And to say, hey, just a reminder that the dishes need to be done. If you're in the middle of doing something, I just need it done before 4 o'clock, whenever you're ready. And when I made that change in my family, holy cow, the resistance went away, the willingness increased, they felt respected and regarded. And I'm not saying that chores are always done when they need to be done. It's human nature. But man, it changed things. It
Mhm.
really opened up for more connection and more collaboration while still giving that scaffolding around.
Yeah. So we call that in our house, we call it notice and respond, which is straight from the OTPF, the occupational therapy practice framework. That's a language that is used in there. But so every year we change the chores that my kids are doing, some based on their abilities, some based on what they need. There was a long time that my middle son, who has ADHD, he needed a lot of movement throughout the day. So he did scrubbing the floorboards and washing the windows, primarily because that's what his body needed. But then we
Yeah.
went through this time of notice and response. So we would be like, hey, let's walk room to room together and everyone's going to notice like what needs to be done here. And then you choose when you're going to respond to that, like throughout the day. But I agree, it has made a huge difference because they're recognizing what needs to go on, but then they're setting up their day and it's put
Yeah.
into, yeah, I feel responsible for this. It's me alongside of my family, but not my mom's hey, the
Yeah.
nag.
Yeah. Yeah. It brings the control inside of them so
Yeah.
that they are empowered themselves. Another powerful tool that I've used, here we are with these teenagers who are growing and they're
Mhm.
having these thoughts, they have all these things going on, and it's easy to lose connection
Yeah.
to our teenagers. And we make a point to I have daddy daughter dates, daddy son dates,
Right.
father son dates, that we specifically will do things together. And I rotate through my kids to make sure that
Mhm.
every kid has one-on-one, not interrupted, not on phone, not watching a
Yeah.
movie, something. My middle daughter just graduated from high school and she is my sushi buddy. We go out to sushi. We always go to the same restaurants, and as much as we can, we sit at the same table and we order the same drink and then we swap out
Yes.
what we're doing. But it's this fun tradition. And then we talk. And
Mhm.
maybe she asked me about what's going on in my life, and I ask what's going on in her life. And we connect. And then we have this bond that carries through. And if we feel that bond weakening or being stressed, obviously it's time to get out and do it again.
I love that you
Um,
can say, you know what? I feel like this has been a while. Let's go get some sushi. So it doesn't have to
yeah,
be like, oh, like I'm feeling this stressful time with my daughter. So we're gonna have this, we're gonna hash it out or something like that. But it's, do you know what? I'm noticing this. Let's go get some sushi together. And that has you're setting up the whole environment differently.
yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
My second oldest daughter, she loves to do artwork. She's high on the autism spectrum, and so sometimes communicating is hard for her. We actually got so that she would write in a journal and then she'd share her journal with us if she couldn't
Oh,
express
great.
verbally.
Yeah.
But we'll go down to the local ceramic shop and we'll paint together. And pretty soon she just opens up and
Mhm.
all the stuff comes out, and we're just able to connect and to communicate. And one of the powerful tools that my wife and I have found that, and I definitely don't do this enough. It's wonderful, but it just doesn't happen as much as would be fantastic. I don't know what that number would be, but it's just a wonderful thing every time that we do it. We'll take an afternoon, even if it's just a half an hour, even if it's just 45 minutes, and say, okay, this is our time. And I created a little rotation sheet on a piece of paper, and we split up throughout the house.
Oh, yeah.
And half of our family stays. I would go out on the front porch, and my wife is in the living room, and somebody else is somewhere, so that there's space and we can talk without being overheard. And then the other people, we rotate through, and we make sure that everybody has a chance to sit down, even for just 5 minutes, with every other single person in the family, and just have a quick one-on-one. There's no pressure. We're just talking. We're just hanging out. We are finding out who we are now, because sometimes it's every month our teenagers are somebody new. There's some new skill. There's some new worry. There's some new passion. There's some new thought, and just connecting.
Ooh, and I love that you're doing that, the kids on kids too. So it's not just you and your wife, because that obviously is really important. But chances are, and hopefully, their relationships are going to be long lasting past when they're from your home. And after, you guys aren't always going to be present in the room with them when they're interacting with each other. So like for them to build those one-on-one independent relationships. And I don't know how far apart your kids are. With 5, there is some wisdom of like your oldest to your youngest.
Yeah. Somehow they ended up about 2.5 years apart, every single one. And so there's about 10 years from my oldest daughter to my youngest. And they love each other. They connect with each other. And they have, just like I was saying, hey, I have my middle Tori, she's my sushi buddy. Aniel, she's my arts and craft buddy. William, he loves to get out. He loves electronics. He loves mechanics. He loves fishing. Each of my kids have something that I enjoy doing with them, but they each have something that they enjoy doing with each other as well.
So good.
And they've made those connections. And so as a whole, it's not, and this is a good reminder that it's not just about you to your kids, but it's your kids to your kids, and creating this network of connections. So much of being a parent to a teenager is taking a moment, stepping back, work on your own emotions, work on your mindfulness, and take time to connect and let them thrive.
Ivan, what a beautiful way to end, because that is exactly it, of making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, but then watching our kids start to model that themselves. So thank you, Ivan. Where can people find you?
You know what? I would love to connect with anybody reaching out to me. I think the easiest way is to just get on Facebook. You can look me up as Ivan M. Hardcastle. There's not a lot of Ivan Hardcastles out there, so I'm pretty easy to find. The other way is that you could go to my website at www.castletwinfalls.com. And that goes straight to my website, and there's a link to connect with me there. But either one works. Facebook is fantastic. Shoot me a message.
Amazing. And we'll make sure that those are linked in the show notes here as well. Ivan, thank you again so much for being here and for pouring into those of us who are new in this teenage sphere, but have just the passion to be supportive and to be alongside of our kids.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The OT is In. I hope our discussion has provided valuable insights and support for your educational journey. Remember, as parents, it's essential to address our children's diverse learning and developmental needs. And here at Homeschool OT, we asked you, the parents, the most helpful way for us to support you. And the majority of you answered time to ask questions so you can stop being overwhelmed with the noise of all these varying suggestions, some often contradicting themselves. So if you are seeking personalized guidance, Homeschool OT now offers concierge services tailored to your family's unique requirements. You can book 1 session, 4 sessions, 12, 24, whatever. It's all on demand so that you can ask the questions and receive practical strategies, heartfelt encouragement to empower your homeschool experience. So to learn more about how Homeschool OT can support you, visit the services page at homeschoolot.com. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to having you with us on the next episode of The OT is In.